purpose of my coming and talking to you is to educate. The word educate, I don't want you to misunderstand the word. I'm not referring that you are uneducated. But I like to make a distinction, the use or the meaning of the word education. Most of the time, we call somebody educated because he has a BS degree or a PhD degree. I don't consider that to be an education. That is simply the person is literate. He can read and write, maybe get a job, fill his tummy. I don't think as African Americans or the black untouchables of India, that word is the word that we want to use. Education means to understand who I am, who you are, what's your background, what's your past, what's your present. If we do not understand that, then we are not educated, no matter what your educational qualifications are. Okay? So, with that kind of introduction, I would like to bring to you a part of the world which has been completely hidden and forgotten. There are two worlds who were connected together long time back, but the present generation do not know. Either side do not know the other side is related. And that is my purpose. So if someone would look at me, okay, this guy doesn't look like an African. He looks like one of the Indians walking around the street. Okay? And even after I finish my lecture, still you may not be able to find out. But at least you would know there is such a thing, that there is a brother or sister who has same ancestry as you have. Okay. So going back to the history, what is the connection between India and Africa? I think by now probably a lot of people know, because I've asked that question several times, that India used to be called long time ago Eastern Ethiopia. Everybody knows that, right? No? Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes, yes. Yes. You also probably heard there is a big river in India called Ganges. Okay. To be frank, till 2 years back, I did not know what the meaning of the word Ganges. I simply know Ganges is Ganges. Do you know the name Ganges is one of the strongest and famous emperors of Ethiopia? That's right. Do you think some crazy Aryans would name a big river in India after an African emperor? Would not. Simple logic says that. In southern part of India, a particular god is being worshipped by the local people. His name is Murugan. He is always on top of the hill. And you go back to Eastern Africa, even today, where more than 25 tribals worship a god which is on the hill. His name is Murungu. And obviously there's no connection between these two people over 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 years. So I'm trying to bridge the gap. There is a distinct and clear connection between the ancient India and the ancient Africa. And that is where I want to go back to the Indus Valley civilization. I think most of you would have heard that, or maybe would have studied in school. which is as ancient as the Egypt Nile Valley civilization. Okay. The original inhabitants or the original creators of the Indus Valley civilization, which is also called Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, or Harappan civilization, was created by the black man. People came from Africa. About 7,000 BC, which is 9,000 years back, maybe even earlier than that. They brought agriculture. They domesticated most of the animals. They were highly civilized. They had two-story buildings, sanitation systems, sewage system. They had a built-in screening system in the sewage, so the solids would not block the liquid passage. They had chutes, so they can drop the garbage from the upper level to lower levels. They had individual wells. They had courtyards. Highly civilized conditions they were living. They're very peaceful agricultural people. Very well flourishing civilization. This is the original black people. Then about, I think, 5,000 BC, small groups of people from Mediterranean started coming into Indus Valley. The Indus Valley I'm referring right now, if you could imagine Pakistan, and that is where the original Indus Valley people lived. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, those are two main cities that they lived. And that was not discovered till, I think, 1846 or something by the British. Before that, we did not even know that we had a civilization. The British, obviously, they were trying to build railway lines and they stumbled into the civilization. When these Mediterranean people came, they mingled with the local black people. And obviously there is a certain amount of intermingling and maybe a slight change in features. That is the people they started calling themselves Dravidians. Maybe Brother Inuni might be able to give a little detailed definition as what the Dravidian means. I'm not quite sure, even though I call myself a Dravidian. But anyway, that is how the word Dravidian came into picture. To me, Dravidian and a black are one and the same. As a matter of fact, that is how it is being used in the Vedas and scriptures of the Hindu religion, which I'll go into a little later. Okay. And even today, in India, normally the dark-skinned people are referred as Dravidians. Okay. When these Dravidians were living comfortably, about 3000 BC, between 3000 and 2000 BC, nomadic white Aryans came from the Central Asia. They were looking for food. They were just wandering around. They were huge, big people. The one thing, sadly, they had is they domesticated horses, which the Dravidians did not. With the horsepower of being nomadic barbarians, they had all the skills of killing and beating. So when they walked into Indus Valley civilization, they found a glorious people living. So first thing they wanted to do is to conquer the people and to learn and to possess everything what these people had. A conflict took place. A war took place. It went on for several hundred years. Obviously, when the people came, when the Aryans came, there is no very clear-cut statistics how many women came with them. The perception is that not too many women they brought with them, the white women. So there is already a mixing of color started during the period of struggle. So when the white man started having offsprings closer to white skin, not exactly white, closer to white skin, they started dividing these people into different groups. The highest being the purest white. The second group, little darker. The third group is little darker. And then they assigned positions or jobs or trades according to the color. The purest color had the best job. The second color, the lowest color, had the second level job. And the third level color had the third level job, and the fourth one is the darkest color. Okay. The purest guy, the white man, they called themselves Brahmins. Brahmins, the word Brahmin comes from the word Brahma. Brahma is the creator of the religion that they later on invented. When they came in, they did not have a religion. Our ancestors had nature worship. That is what they did. They did not have any ritualism. They simply worshipped the sun and the rain and the fire and the air. That is the type of worship they had. They also worshipped cattle, the cows, and the bulls, because that is what is used in their agriculture. So they wanted to thank them. As a matter of fact, even today in South India, where most of the Dravidians live, we have 1 day or 2 days. 1 day we equivalent to Thanksgiving, but we thank the sun, because without sun we cannot have agriculture. And the second day we thank the oxen and the bulls and all that. Even today it's happening. So this is our ancestry. But these guys, they created their own gods. Brahma is the creator. So the pure white Aryans, they call themselves Brahmins. Brahmins, I guess it's also meaning the wise man. That is according to them, obviously not according to me. Okay? So their duty or their exclusive profession is priesthood and teaching. They are the only one can read and write. And they are the only one can obviously be the priest. That means be close to the God, and essentially they call themselves the God. On earth, they are the God. The second lighter skin guy got the job of a trader, trading and accounting and taking care of the business. The third guy, the third darker guy, is a warrior. And the big guys, they picked all these guys, okay, you're going to protect us. This is the people came from their offsprings. But the indigenous people, we were fighting with them all the time and were captured and made as slaves to serve the first three. At that time, I think it really meant classes. The fourth one is called the Shudras. They're in fact the slaves of the three upper castes. So the first three castes are called the upper castes. And the fourth one is the Shudra, or a slave. But that doesn't end the story there. The people who fought with these Aryans but could not withstand and ran off into the jungles are called the tribals. And even today you can see tribals in India. If you go and look at them, you wouldn't distinguish them from any other African in Africa. The guys did not run away, the guys did not surrender, but kept fighting all the time. Ultimately, the Aryans, took these people as slaves, but they're so furious because these people did not surrender like the Shudras, and they said, okay, you guys, we're going to punish you, and we're going to call you untouchables. Because we can't touch you, because if we touch you, we'll pollute ourselves. And we're going to designate the kind of jobs which are called polluting jobs. Cleaning the street, cleaning the bathrooms, carrying the dead animals, and everything which goes along is called polluting or filthy. And then we're going to make you to live away from this town, away from the villages, segregated. These are called the outcast or untouchables. This is initially started as a kind of a class system. And I want to make sure we clearly understand the difference between class and caste. There is a big difference. A lot of people do not understand, or if you talk to a lot of Indians walking around here, either they do not understand or they purposely lie to you. Okay? There is a valley and a hill difference between the word caste and class. So this started as a class system, but then the Aryans worried about the purity of their race. They wanted to make sure that they have no more intermingling between these castes, so the Brahmins can control them better. They wanted to keep those people within the two walls, or the four walls. How can we do that? We need to make sure there is no crossbreeding. That's the first thing we want to do. How can we do that? We're going to introduce religion. That's the best way. You want to subjugate somebody, you introduce religion. And these Aryans were so smart in an obnoxious way. They invented a religion. They invented two words. One word is called dharma. The other word is called karma. Dharma means kind of a, you do what the God says you got to do. Okay. So what he says, the God says, this is your job. God tells you this is the job you got to do. Why, if a guy says, why I have to be a carpenter, why can't I be the priest? Then he comes around and tells you that is because of your karma. What is karma? You did something bad in your last life, so the God is punishing you this life. Okay? But that doesn't stop right there either. You better not question that again. Why you are in that position. If you question, you will make the God angry, and next life you're going to be worse than this. Very smart people. Extremely smart people. So everybody did their job with a smiling face. It doesn't matter what the job is. Agreeing to be a slave, enjoying the slavery. So that's what we call in India, where the slaves enjoy slavery. Because they think they're serving God. But it took 3,000 years for me to get up and said, which God? Let me find out which God is. Who made me be an untouchable? Tell me what I did in my last life. I sure want to find out. Okay? I sure want to talk to that God. Maybe I'll shoot him. Because I know the life of an untouchable in India. But what these Aryans did, they made us completely dumb, completely ignorant, completely illiterate, completely poor, completely weak in every sense of the word for 3,000 years. We can study, we can read, write, we can't even, our women cannot even cover their body. And we cannot even wear any dress like the other man. I'll go back later on and read some of the scriptures, which is the holy books of Hindu holy books, where it says an untouchable, the dress of an untouchable has to be the dress of the dead corpus. That is, the holy book says that. The Hindu holy book says that. And these people are supposed to eat only from broken pots. So when they have systematically made these people for so long, they completely accepted their faith, so-called faith. I said, well, obviously I've done such a bad thing in my last life. I have no choice. So I might as well hope for better life in next life, better things in next life, or maybe better life for my child in my next life. So let me faithfully follow my dharma. So I don't even have a mind to question as to why I am an untouchable and this guy sits on top of the hill. Okay? It took 3,000-4,000 years for us to even think about it. Okay? This is what is called Varna Ashrama Dharma, which is Varna means color. In Sanskrit, the word Varna is color. So the religion today is called Hinduism. The original name is not Hinduism. It is either called Brahminism. Brahminism. Meaning that you accept Brahmin as a superior. That is the name of the religion. Or Varnashrama Dharma. Meaning, I told you Dharma. The Dharma is the job that you do designated by God. And that job is due to your Varna. So Varnashrama Dharma. So this is the name of the religion. Till 9th century AD, when the Persians ran into India, they saw the river, the Sindh river, the Indus Valley civilization, which is the river called Sindh. They said, well, this is Sindh river, so this place called Sindh. But they can't pronounce yes somehow. They couldn't pronounce yes. So they called them Hind. Then they said, everybody who lived in this part of the country called Hindus. For them, everybody other than who followed Islam were Hindus. Even though an untouchable who is an outcast, because to be an Hindu, you got to have a caste. If you are an outcast, obviously you don't have a caste. If you do not have a caste, you can't be a Hindu. But for the purposes of the Brahmins and the other upper caste, it is for their advantage to call the untouchables as Hindus so they can faithfully, obediently do your job. So they called them as Hindus. And the untouchables, not knowing what's going on, agreed, we are also Hindus. Except I can't go into their temples, I cannot go into the streets where the upper caste live, except to clean their bathrooms. Okay? So we were the outcasts. When the British came, obviously the purpose of the British who came there to conquer and to rob the country. That's what they did. And obviously the Brahmins were the guys who were controlling the local population. So they went to the Brahmins. And Brahmins said, everybody Hindus. So British wrote everybody Hindus. So that is how everybody is called Hindus. If you read any article in New York Times about India, they would say India has 85% Hindus, which is absolutely false. So tomorrow if you happen to see an Indian on the street, if you ask him what religion do you follow, if he says Hinduism, you should say, you mean to say Brahminism? He may not even know, or he may not agree with you. Because systematically, for all these years, the Indians or the Hindus have cheated the international community about what's going on in India. The caste system, the untouchability, it is so prevalent, so rampant, so barbarous, so evil, but it's all done in the name of religion. So nobody talks about it. And then it's controlled by the white man. The international press is controlled by the white man. So nobody can talk about it. The New York Times press reporter goes to India. The first guy meets him as a Brahmin. So Brahmin feeds him some trash. This guy brings the trash and spits out here. That's what's going on. Okay. So we are now trying to bring some truth in what's going on. Okay. I'm going to go back and show this book, African Presence in Early Asia. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this book. Okay? There are a couple of excellent articles here for those who want to understand a little bit the African connection, the Dravidian connections. But I want to quote one starting with Wayne Chandler, Brother Wayne Chandler's article. He brings Ethiopia and India together in this quote. And upon his return to Greece, they gathered around and asked, "Tell us about this great land of blacks called Ethiopia." And Herodotus says there are two great Ethiopian nations, one in Sind, meaning India, and the other is in Egypt.